Hello, everyone. Thank you for clicking on Monday night, eyes open. And Chris is going to be joining us here momentarily. And in the meantime, trying to get the link up so that he can join us here momentarily. Let's try this again. And that doesn't look right. Okay, so let's hide that. Okay, I cannot, apparently I can't delete that. So, I'm working off of the old computer, haven't been doing shows off of this computer, and because we are just about to have an ice storm. There's the link for when Chris gets in here. Again, thank you all for clicking on. We're going to be talking about the LA Police Department, and we're going to be talking about their role in January 6th, and also what Chris has learned from some of the people that he was on the force with. We talk to Chris all the time about the fact that he was, that he has his own counterterrorism company, if you will, his involvement in the military. But we don't talk a lot about the fact that he started his career as a police officer in Washington, D.C. We mentioned it in the last episode. The last episode got cut off somehow. Not exactly sure what happened. If you're just now realizing that the channel's now called Eyes Open, you might have missed a couple of episodes. We've done a couple of episodes already under the new channel name, and go back and watch those if you would. They are there's some information there. So as I said, as soon as Chris gets on here, we'll get started. In the meantime, tomorrow is actually at midnight tonight. The New Hampshire primary will be starting. The first vote comes from a town called Dixville Notch, and Dixville Notch starts voting at midnight. Now the vote will be over very shortly thereafter, as there are only a handful of people that live in Dixville Notch. First Republican presidential primary in New Hampshire. The 6 votes we'll know about in New Hampshire. So only 6 people are going to be voting in the Republican primary tonight, but that does start at midnight. And I think I heard Chris come on here. And I did. Hi, Chris. How are you, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining, as always, and let's just kind of get right into this. We talked last time we talked. We were talking about the different districts in Washington, D.C., and through the D.C. Police website, I was able to get this map. Can you see it on your screen? You may not be able to. Are you there? Did we lose Chris? We lost Chris. Well, okay. Hopefully Chris will be right back. If not, there are people that don't want us talking about what we're going to be talking about here. So, there we go. I think I heard him come back. No video feed. Get him up here. Well, Chris, can you hear me?
Yep, Barry, can you hear me?
I got you.
All right, great.
Okay. I've got up on the screen a map from the DC police that shows that the last time you were on, we talked about the various districts
Right.
that DC's divided up into. I'm showing a map to the audience of those various districts, and I also want to show actual Washington, D.C. itself as soon as it pops up here. Um, here's D.C. from Google Maps. You can see the outline. The line is the border in the Potomac River um, up to the Virginia coast or Virginia bank in through the most part. It's not a very big strip of land at all for those that have never been there or don't know a lot about it. Um, well, hang on just a second. The police district map closed on me. There we go. All right. So back to it. What the you said 103, if I remember correctly, as the district that includes the Capitol building.
Well, when I was there,
Okay, yeah, these are these were changed to 2019. The
right.
districts were okay. Just
Yeah,
to make that clear. So
yeah,
go ahead.
like every once in a while they realign the districts, right? So like when I was there, when I left in 2010, I was in what we call PSA 106, which encompassed um, Capitol Hill. So it was like from 6th Street all the way down to 12th, and then from M Street Southeast all the way to I think it's going to be like I think Massachusetts Avenue
Okay.
on the southeast side. So that or correction, it goes to A Street.
All right. So
A Street on the southeast side, because once you cross over Massachusetts Avenue, then it turns to the northeast side.
all right. I'm trying to get a. Um, nope, that's not what I want. Trying to get the map pulled up here. There we go. And we'll zoom in. Um, to the area. So the streets are, and you can kind of see. Um, this is here's the White House. This is basically the area that's considered. What's it officially called as far as the police? The Smithsonian, the White House, the Lincoln Memorial, Washington Monument, Capitol Hill. Um,
That's kind of like the mall area. So like
Mall
the
area.
right?
Okay.
But not like not where the White House is, but along going up to the Washington Monument, that area there, and
Okay.
yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. So, um, just so everybody kind of understands, um, the White House. Here's the White House, and here is the ellipse, and the ellipse is where the speech. Um, the speech was given by Trump on that day. This is that area. Then we go to here. This is the Capitol. Just so everybody has. I don't know if anybody's ever really shown, taken the time to show what and where things happened. But this is an overview of the Capitol building itself. So there are Metro Police that are stationed in this area, but this area is primarily secured by what's known as Capitol Police and Secret Service. Is that what we determined last time, Chris?
So anything that deals with the United States Capitol, the United States Capitol Police will handle that. Anything that deals with the embassies, and the White House, United States Secret Service Uniform Division will handle. But Metropolitan Police Department will always be around in all these areas for the simple fact that they're the lead law enforcement agency within the District of Columbia.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Now, um, this it doesn't look like it the way it's laid out, but um, this is the side of the building where the majority. Here's where the majority of the traffic, as far as the people marching towards the Capitol. This is the side of the building they came to initially. Correct.
Okay, I believe so.
All right. Now, the Senate is here. The House is over here. Um, they came on to this side, which this is the east side, correct?
Okay, right. So
And then this is the west, and then the shorter sides. This is the north, and this is the south.
right. So what my understanding is that they came to the west side of the Capitol. Right. So that's where the majority of the fighting actually occurred, on the
The
west side.
majority of the fighting occurred on the west side.
That's correct.
Okay, and um, you had friends on the force, basically that responded to the calls that were on three out of the four sides at least. Is that correct?
Right, right. Because you have to understand the civil disturbance units are already out, just for the simple fact of they anticipated, counter protests from Antifa and everyone else. So our civil disturbance units are already going to be out there.
And they were looking for Antifa. They were anticipating Antifa coming up specifically.
My understanding is they were there to counter um, any counter violence type thing. But
To counter any counter protesters.
right, right. So that's my understanding.
Okay, that's because I remember I was live that day for like 12 hours, and I remember them saying that. I remember seeing police officers taking off some of their protective gear and saying to live streamers that it was, they were there looking for Antifa, and there was no Antifa, so there was no need for them. They did not anticipate what was going to happen at the Capitol. These were officers that were down by the ellipse. Okay, so everything goes down at the Capitol,
Hmm.
and what I want viewers to hear is one of your sources said what?
Okay, so we're going to talk about on the west side. Then we'll go to the east side. Then we'll go to the north side.
Okay,
So my buddy, who's a sergeant, was there on the west side of the Capitol,
the west
and
side being this side for those. Go ahead.
right, and he said, that's where the majority of the fighting took place, right? So that's where they actually overran Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police Department of Washington D.C.
Okay,
The protesters from Trump's side overran Capitol Police and MPD.
on the west side.
On the west side, and that's when they gained entry into um, the Capitol. So my buddy, who's also another sergeant, also told me that his CDU platoon was on the east side and told to come through the east side and help, you know, get out the protesters from inside the Capitol and push them back out to the west side.
Because there were big scaffolding
Right,
scaffolding all around on the east side over here.
right,
So it was difficult to get more difficult to gain access when there was absolutely nothing happening over here on the west side. So
no, everything was happening on the west side because that's where the scaffolding was.
the scaffolding was on the west side.
Yep, yep.
Am I looking at this upside down?
I think so. Do you have
Okay.
the map that has the arrow pointing north?
No, I don't.
Okay, because the west side is where everything occurred. The scaffolding and yeah, that was on the west side of the
Okay,
capital,
so I must be looking at this upside down.
possibly.
All right. So this would be the west side. This
Right,
would
that
be
would
the
be the
east
west side,
side.
and that would be the
Then
east
this
side.
would be the north side, and this would be the south side.
Right, exactly. So,
Okay.
so the
Right?
staff. This is where the majority of the fighting took place. Now, his CDU platoon was told to come around the east side, push in, so they could push the protesters out back through the west. Okay, that's that's what I was told. Now, another one of my buddies told me he was on the north side, and he said there were all these white buses lined up, and he said on these buses there was Antifa on the buses, and they made their way into the Capitol on the north side.
Did he say how many buses?
He said there were like multiple buses.
Multiple
Right.
buses. And in his terms, did he see these
Oh yeah.
people?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're dressed like, are they dressed like in black bloc?
No.
Like
They're just like regular people. So
just dressed like regular people? Okay, so what made, just, I'm asking the questions here. What made him think they were Antifa, I wonder? Or was he told they were Antifa?
I guess he was told, but I also heard him sit there and say something about, hey, these are Antifa. Somebody had
Okay.
said that these are Antifa, and they made their way up to the north side of the Capitol and made entry into there, into the north side.
Okay. So they were parked somewhere in this secure area to the north of the
Right.
Capitol.
So obviously there's a road there, and
Right.
they were let off, and they made way to the north side of the Capitol. And they
Okay.
entered.
All right. Okay. I'm not saying this happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Um, is it? Do you think? Is there any way your buddy would come
Oh
on
no,
come on
no,
with
he's not
us?
going to come on. He's still working.
Okay.
I mean, he's still active.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Um, the this this came up before. Representative Clay Higgins claims, quote, has brought FBI informants to Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Um, could it be that two things are true at the same time?
Of course.
That, I mean, if you are on the far right, anybody that's not on the far right is Antifa.
Uh-huh.
Whether they identify as Antifa or it's more specific, one of the black bloc or one of the other, you know, loosely affiliated groups of people. Um, so he could be saying, yeah, these are Antifa because these are people that are against the far right, whereas Clay Higgins is saying that they brought FBI informants to Washington D.C. and maybe he's correct. They brought these informants in to identify the people that they knew were going to be there to cause trouble. Is that a stretch on my part,
No,
or is that
no,
feasible?
that's feasible. That's feasible. But I don't know
Okay.
the whole situation. You see, now I'm just going off of
Yeah,
what's been told to me. That's all.
I'd sure like to have them come on and talk with us. This is interesting. All right, we want to keep it short so as many people as possible, especially new people. And if you're new, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share if you would. Um, the the incident the incident unfortunately cost police officers their lives, but it also kind of made a star out of one of the officers. Did you know
No,
Michael
no.
Fanone? Michael Fanone?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you did you know him on the
So,
force
so
while you were there?
we worked the same district, right? We were both at 1D1, which is the substation, right? So he was kind of like part of a plainclothes unit that did like narcotics, stuff like that. But we were in the same roll call together. We were secretary, we call secretary roll call, and he was actually in the same roll call with me. We were roll call together. But I mean, I didn't know him. Hey Mike, what's up? Because like we just do our own thing. The guys in the
Yeah.
section, we just do our own thing.
There are a significant number of people, and it's not like you have personal ties with all of them.
No, I mean, the first district is pretty big overall. There's a sizable amount of officers. You have to remember when I left, there was approximately over 4,000 sworn members on the police department. All right, so um, you know, we see each other in passing, and if we're in roll call, but like because he worked like almost like a vice unit or whatnot, you know, I really didn't have that much affiliation with him. So,
Okay.
uh, but I know who he is. Yeah.
He kind of became a hero or a star. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's how um, it was played out, But I'm not gonna personally badmouth the guy because like I said, I don't know him personally. I mean, I do
yeah,
know him. Hey, Mike, what's up? Hey, Chris, what's going on? Or hey, hey, Mark, what's
yeah.
up? Um, but from what I've heard, I heard there was some things that weren't very nice about him, and what happened to him while he was there on January 6th.
So is he part of one of these? Would he have been a part of one of these units that you were talking about that were there, knowing that there might be counter protesters, or
Okay,
did he just respond to this call? Like,
I
was there a general call? How did all that work?
so I don't know. See what they do in when there's situations like this. Half the sections, half like the split the department, right? Half the people will work the section because they still have to, answer all the radio runs. But then the other half, of course, will be CBU. That's how things work. You know? And I don't know if he was just because he heard the call on the radio and he decided to respond, or if he's actually on CBU and if he's on a CBU platoon and we're responding. But if he's on CBU platoon, he would have been with his platoon. You see what I'm saying? He wouldn't
Would
have been out. He wouldn't have been out there by himself.
would this have been such an event that a majority of DC officers would have been called in, no matter where they're at in the district?
Okay, so when Inspector Glover called for that uh, 1033, he was the on-scene commander. Called for that 1033. Um, my understanding, and I got that from my buddy who's a sergeant, said it was CDU platoons only that called, which called for 1033. Specifically for that. A citywide
Yeah.
1033 was not called.
Okay, because I mean, there are crimes going on in the rest of the city.
Right, right, right. So the rest of the city still has to have the patrol officers, and you had those CPU platoons that were already there. So that when we called for the 1033, everyone's got to go to that.
Okay. All right. Okay. I mentioned, we'll wrap up with this. I mentioned last Friday reading a book, beginning to read a book. I've gotten through the first three chapters. I had some family situation came up over the weekend, and plus I just kind of turned everything off for a while and just watched football. Um, and and the book is a realistic look at the not only the Washington D.C. Police Department, but the community that it serves. And you said you were real good friends with the person that wrote it. Um, what's the name of the book?
Okay, the name of the book is What the Fuck, right? A D-
WTF?
right, What the Fuck? A DC law enforcement officer's perspective looking from the inside out.
Okay. And if there are those that want to purchase that book, I'll just have them. I'll have them email me,
Okay,
and then I'll email you their contact information. How's that?
that's great, and I'll get in contact with him and be like, hey, uh, some people want to buy your book, and then we'll
Yeah,
just go from there.
because and it's an ebook, and also because um, it's written anonymously because it's kind of an expose. It's kind of a WikiLeaks kind of situation on what's going on in the Washington, what was going on in the Washington D.C. Police Department. I don't imagine things have gotten a lot better since that book was written, considering the struggle they're having to not only retain but hire new officers.
Right. So a lot of my friends told me, of course, the same stuff is going on ever since that book was released. Nothing's really changed. Um, they said, Officer Mack he's like, he blew the lid off this place. And actually, they said when that book was first released in DC, they said that book was really big news within DC because nobody, ever thought someone's going to write a book about how the department works and the good, the bad, and the indifferent. See,
And you were out of country when the book was released.
yeah. I was in Afghanistan at that time. So,
Okay, all right, awesome. It's a brutally honest look at people from a law enforcement perspective, and it's a brutally honest look at the police department itself.
right,
Once again, from the inside looking out.
right. So it really kind of focuses on our society and really how dysfunctional it is, right?
Yeah,
But then also how dysfunctional that agency is. Okay.
yeah,
And a lot of people aren't aware. They think what they see on television is what it really is when it really isn't. You see.
yeah,
Um, and I think he would agree if people read that book, it would give a totally different perspective and outlook on how law enforcement is and how society really is. Because they deal with it on a daily basis. I dealt with it I dealt with it, you dealt with it. My friends still deal with it on a regular basis.
yeah.
You know, and
All right.
it's just what it is. It is what it
Thank
is.
you, man.
And thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome having you on here as always. I'm going to be on tomorrow night for. I'll be on tomorrow night for the New Hampshire primary and talk politics.
Yeah.
You wanna schedule like next Friday or
Yeah,
this
next
coming Friday?
Yeah, Friday's good. Friday's
And
fine.
Friday works for you? Okay, we'll do Friday, and we'll see if we can't get a couple of people from the audience that are, that aren't as involved in all this stuff as we are, to come up and react and have questions and conversation with us.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for being here, man.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Peace.
Bye.
That's our friend Chris, and in case you are just now joining us, please go back and watch. But the major thing there is a Metropolitan Police Department officer reporting that he did see people getting off of buses and going into the Capitol on that day, and that has been a conspiracy theory. Now, again, I don't see why the Democratic Party would want to bring people there to try to stop a Democrat from winning the election. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, if they weren't there for that, what were they there for? Were they possibly there to, as I said, identify specific people? And is that how some people got caught a lot faster than others? Because while the police officer called them Antifa, and that may be true, the representative called them FBI informants. So, who knows? Hopefully someday we'll find out, but this might just be a little tiny piece of what actually went down and who was involved. We'll find out. We'll see if anybody has anything to say about this little episode or not. Again, I'll be on tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking politics tomorrow night on Eyes Open, and I'll give you my theory on what I think is going to happen in the Democratic Party, and I'll give you my theory on what I think is going to happen in the Republican Party, as we also look at the votes that are garnered in the New Hampshire primary. So until then, thank you all very much for being here. Love you all like chocolate chip cookies. It's a dark world. Be a light. Love y'all. See you next time.